Okay, so we're working on a 2000 Chevy Cavalier with a misfire, and the engine's really running rough. And when it gets that bad, the check engine light will actually start to flash. And the reason it does that is it's warning you that it's destroying the catalytic converter, because you have a lot of raw fuel going into the cat when the check engine light flashes. So you don't want that to happen. So we're going to diagnose it and fix this problem here today. So the first thing is we want to find out where the misfire is. So we're connecting our Auto Ingenuity software here. Okay, so we got a Chevrolet, and there's a 2000, and it's a Cavalier, and the 8th VIN on this is a 2.2. I think it's got the same VIN for a 2.2 liter, so it's 2.2, and then the 4 digits, I think it was a J. I don't think the transmission matters a whole lot, but it's just a 3-speed automatic. Transfer case also. Okay, so we'll go next. Get our enhanced powertrain information. So we go next, and we'll just get the code. Just gonna read the codes. That's all we need anyway. Okay, so we're gonna go to current. So we're getting cylinder number 1 misfire, P0301. Okay, don't have anything else. I think we got an evap code besides that, but we're not really concerned too much about that right now. But we're really worried about the misfire. So, okay, so we're gonna. So and misfire series codes are P300 series. So, for example, if it's a P0301, that's a misfire cylinder 1. If it's a P0302, it's cylinder number 2, etc. Okay, so we got a cylinder number 1 misfire, so we're going to work on that. Okay, so our number 1 cylinder, since this is a 4-cylinder engine, the number 1 cylinder is going to be the cylinder closest to the drive belt, so the front of the engine, which is over here. So that's going to be right here. I've already actually removed the plug. The spark, the ignition cable went right there. So this is the cylinder we're dealing with. So we're going to have to look at our spark plug first. So here's our spark plug, and it looks like I'm not getting any fuel really on it at all, but that could also be indicative of low compression. So you need 3 things for the engine to run. You need spark, fuel, and compression. And compression, if you don't get air in the engine for some reason, like if you got a blocked exhaust or something like that, you'll also will not get compression. If the timing is off, the valve timing, you won't get enough compression either. But you need to have all 3 in order for the engine, each cylinder, to operate evenly. So I don't believe this spark plug is bad, but we may have a compression problem. So let's check that next. You want to verify that you don't have a major engine problem. So if you have a compression problem, then we might have a bad valve, etc. So we don't really need to check injectors and all that yet, because if we have a compression problem, then you found the problem immediately. So we're going to do that first really quick here. So in order to do that, you need to use your compression gauge. So you see that adapter. Make sure that the adapter is the right one. And there's a check valve actually in here. You don't want some of these got two check valves. You want to make sure that you've only got one. And I think that the one in here is installed. So there's your little Schrader valve. But anyway, just get this nice and tight. Okay, now we're going to put this in the spark plug hole. Okay, there we go. Gauge in the number 1 spark plug hole here. All right. Just kind of tighten that in there. And then get your gauge that kind of snaps on there. Okay, so what we're going to do is we have Tom. Okay, now after you do that, you've got to make sure the engine doesn't start. So get my face. You got to make sure that the engine doesn't start, because you don't want the engine to run when you're doing the compression test. So in order to do that, you've got to disable either the ignition or the fuel system. So now, since this is an older engine and we don't have any, it isn't a coil on plug, we don't have multiple coils to disable the power at the distributor, and then that'll disable the ignition system and the engine won't start if the ignition system is disabled. So the way you do that is come over here, and the distributor has a power plug. Can you see this power plug? See what I'm doing here, Tom? So this power plug you can just kind of unplug it out. I've already done it before, but just unplug that, and then this will take all power off of your ignition system, and it won't crank. Okay, now that we've done that, we can check our compression. Okay, so you want to get 5 strokes. So Tom is going to crank the engine now, and we're going to watch this for 5 strokes, see how our compression looks. Okay, go ahead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's good. Okay, so it looks like we're getting a pretty good compression reading right there. Okay, so I don't think compression is going to be our problem, so that's a good sign. So now we're going to go for the other issues, which is spark. So since I don't believe the spark plug has a problem, the next step is we're going to just check the spark plug wire. So here's our, you want to make sure that the wire isn't open. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to get your meter, your DVOM, and you're going to check the resistance of this wire. So with your DVOM, you want to set it on the ohms value, and that now we can check the resistance of the wire. So what we're going to do is we're going to disconnect here's where it was connected, the spark plug, and then we're going to disconnect it back here. I did it earlier, and we're going to check the resistance of this wire right now. So it needs to be about no more than about 2,000 ohms per foot, and we got about 2 feet. So if it's anywhere from 4 to 10,000 ohms, that would be, or even 4 to 8,000. That'd be good. If you got anything more than that, that's not good. Less is fine, but you don't want any more than that. So let's go ahead and check this. So what you do is you get your meter leads. You got to touch the metal. There's a metal terminal inside of the spark plug wire that you need to make sure you're touching on, the meter leads. So we're going to go to that one, and then the terminal. Can you see that terminal inside of there, that metal? You got to make sure it touches that metal terminal in there. So we're going to touch the terminal in here and see what we get. Okay, so we're getting, point at the meter, we're getting 7.73 k ohms, which is within reason. It's less than 8,000 ohms. So we're going to use this wire. So that's fine. So next thing, we're going to check this distributor to make sure that the terminal from the distributor is this has got coils. Oh, okay, this has actually got coils. Okay, so we got 2 coil packs here actually. So what we can do is we can move this coil pack, and we're going to swap the coil packs now and then see if the problem moves. If it does, then we know that the coil pack is going to be the problem. We're going to do that next. Okay, can you get these coil packs on here? Yeah, this has got, if you can see them, see the numbers on the top? One says 1, 4, 1, 4, and one says 2, 3. So we're going to swap this coil pack with this one, and then what we're going to do is we're going to run the engine and check the code again. If the problem moves, it's going to be the coil pack, and I think that's going to be the problem. We might have an ignition module problem. Let's go ahead and try that next. Swap these two. This is it's called waste spark coils. So the way this works is, if you can see the numbers, number 1 and 4 are companion cylinders, and number 2 and 3. So what that means is that on the compression stroke, when the 1 fires, it also fires the number 4 cylinder, which is on the exhaust stroke. And the reason they did that was for an emissions reducing method, to fire the mixture if there's any left in the cylinder during the scavenging out of the exhaust, to kind of help emissions. So now, okay, so anyway, so that's the way it works. So what we're going to do now is I think that I have a bad coil here. So what we're going to do is that I'm going to move this over to here, move this back, then we're going to clear the codes and then rerun the engine again. So if this coil is bad, that misfire code is going to go to number 2 cylinder, because you know, I verified that by moving it to the bad point, that the cylinder is is that coil can't fire number 2 cylinder now, and I'm going to get a P0302 misfire code for number 2. So we're going to do that right now. So let's remove this. So the way this is removed, you got to take off the wires. You can't get these wires mixed up either. So make sure, I got to, I can tell which one goes where. So you just take this off. Okay, so the way this works, you got a bolt on the bottom of each of these coils. Is these little 7/32 bolts. Hopefully we won't have a bad ignition module. That could be more expensive, but we're going to have to try the coil first. So the ignition module actually bolts into this is the ignition module for this, so that could also be a problem, but we're going to do the coil first to make that. Got all this oil on that. Okay, so this is the other coil, and it's not as much oil at the terminals and the connectors, so that might be a problem, possibly. It's really wet, so we're going to try to maybe clean out that. We might have to go get some electrical cleaner just to clean this up really good. Here's our bad coil. It's going to move from cylinder position number 1, and we're going to put it where the cylinder position number 2 was. So we're going to move this one over to here now, and we're going to put this one over there, and we're going to see if that's going to move. Now the first thing I'm also going to do is, since I got a lot of oil, down in here, I'm going to clean all that off. So we get your electrical spray, and then in here we're going to kind of get this. This had a lot of oil, so in case if you have oil in this, that could possibly cause a bad connection, also cause our problem. So the coil might not even have been the coil itself. It might have been these primary connections that is causing the problem to get current to fire this secondary part of the coil. So we're going to spray this out here. Do this one too while we're at it. Okay. Let that drain a little and dry out. And then we're just going to put these back. Okay, so now that we got the coil swapped, so you got to make sure that your wires, so this is going to be 1 and 4 is this one. This was here, so this has got to go to cylinder number 1 now, but it's going to go here. So we got to get cylinder number 1, which is this one we took off. That's going to go here. And then cylinder number 4, which is this one, is going to go here. And then this is going to be 2 and 3. So this is number 2. And this is number 3. Okay. Okay, so let's pull this back. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to clear the old code. So here we are. Here's clear. So we're going to clear it. Okay, there's no codes. Okay, good. Okay, so now we have no codes. So now we're going to restart the engine. Okay, here we go to change system. Okay, sometimes it takes a while for that. This fire, sometimes might have to drive around the block or something. It takes a while for that monitor to run sometimes. Check engine light is still off. It takes a while. Tom, can you just drive this around the street here and come back real quick?
Okay. Ready?
So we're on Cavalier 2000. Our check engine light is on, so our code is set. 2-liter.
Yeah, it's staying on now.
J.
J.
Transmission is 3-speed. Engineered powertrain. Okay. Right. Current. Okay, so now as you can see, our Misfire has moved to cylinder number 2. So that confirms that that coil, since it was moved, is going to be the problem. So the slim solution is going to be just replace that coil. We'll go ahead and just replace our coil right here. So we're turning. So here's the bad coil, and it actually had a bad. You see, the terminal wasn't firing anyway, and it might be due to corrosion. But so we're just going to replace it with our replacement B WDP series coil. So just doing the final finishing installation of the coil. Sure your intake air temperature sensors connected. This doesn't have a map, I think, so you don't have to worry about that. So we replaced the coil. Now we're going to check the codes again. It's still going to have that P302 set in there because it's got to rerun the monitor. So more than likely, but it might have gone away actually. Let's see what happens.
Instrumental. Recording.
Okay, so let's go ahead and start it up again. Check engine levels off. These we got some body control module codes. Okay. So let's just check powertrain again next. You gotta see, make sure that monitor runs again before to make sure. But the engine is running noticeably smoother than it did before.
Oh yeah.
So let's just go ahead. Okay, so let's just go ahead and take another test drive. Okay. So we just did it. We just did a test drive, and now we're just going to check our codes again. Okay, so now we're going to check our codes again. Okay, so you got to get that. Okay, so that's our. So there's no codes there yet, and you want to make sure that the monitors have been run. Okay, so let's check the monitors because whenever you clear the codes, all the monitors reset. Okay, you don't have to. Okay, so our misfire monitor is complete, and there's no misfires. We haven't, when we cleared our codes, our oxygen sensor heater, evap, and catalyst monitor are not ready yet. They're not complete. So he's got to drive the vehicle long enough to run the automatic tests on the catalyst monitoring system, the evap system, and the oxygen sensor. So now the evap does have a code. But it takes a while to get that monitor to run. But the misfire is fixed. Our monitor is complete. There's no check engine light. I'm sure the check engine light, as you can see, is off. It's running much better. So we fixed our problem. Okay, so this is Steve's story from Car Inspectors. Hope you learned something today on how to fix a misfire in an OBDII car. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. Thank you tonight. Thank you very much.